Hello, warrior women. How are you this week? Happy Sunday, fun day. This week, I have been absolutely exhausted, if I'm being fully honest with you. I fill my tank, live all high performance habits in the evening because that sets the stage for the following day. I'm waking at 4:45 on my Peloton, doing my ab workout, getting in the shower by 5:10, out the door by 6, arriving at my school by 6:35, working my tail off until 3, getting my daughter, coming home, working some more. It has been just an unbelievable journey. There are so many challenges that I see facing our educational system that are bigger than they were when I left the system to go into industry and see what does industry actually need from our learners. And there are some significant gaps. As those of you who are parents know, there's some big gaps between what our children will need to succeed in the world and what is happening in schools. And before, I wasn't able to really speak to that with confidence because I hadn't been in industry. And now, whoo, we have some work to do, my friends. So I hope that this episode leaves you feeling uplifted and inspired as a leader, because I am a big believer that each and every one of us are leaders. And every single day, we lead the most difficult person on the planet, ourselves. And it is with that spirit that I invite you to embrace that identity as leader. If you convinced your child to eat something healthy or to do their homework or to go to bed at a certain time, guess what, friends? You're leading. And if you're influencing your family members, your peers, you're leading. Each and every one of us in the book, The Gift of Influence, Tommy Spalding says that we influence 80,000 people in our lifetime. Well, you know me, I'm your math geek, and the average lifespan is 78 years. So that means we influence about 2.8 people per day as individuals. And I know if you're here with me, you're a learner. So yours is probably 10x that, which means you're looking at 20 to 30 people a day that you influence. And let's let that influence be filled with love and light. And so I wanted to uncover a little bit from Galatians 6, 9, and 10. Because in these verses, we see the wisdom of leadership, perseverance, and high performance living. And I want you to reflect on these verses and learn, how can we stay resilient in a time that is requiring the absolute best of us, to be living lives filled with purpose and to serve others with integrity, and to do that with a high vibrational energy of joy that literally, when you walk this earth, the world is a better place. Every sidewalk you've passed has been better because you smiled at someone in those corridors of a hallway, or passing by as your grocery carts pass by one another at the grocery store, or maybe as you wait in line at the gym for a particular piece of equipment, or maybe as you say farewell to your child as they go out the door. That if we can live in a little greater intention with that spirit of resilience and purpose and service, that we will have better lives. I also want to bring the energetic guidance of the Lunar Virgo Moon this week, which emphasizes responsibility, methodical action, and balancing intuition with practicality. So, really igniting that inner knowing that exists within each of us. That one's been a hard one for me. As a scholar, I was always trained to look externally to those with greater wisdom. And here I am now going, oh my gosh, I have a strong intuition. Oh my gosh, I'm being divinely guided. It's a weird dance and an uncomfortable place for me to play in, but it is also amazingly beautiful. And so I want to think about the celestial influence that is guiding us right now. And this is a perfect time to upgrade habits, to tackle obstacles head on, and to align your leadership journey with divine timing. And so if that's you, I want to invite you to do what I call an extraordinary life edit. Often we think we need reinvention and we've got to start all over because we're busy beating ourselves up and narrating all of the negative things that we wish were better about ourselves. But in fact, you are brilliantly and wonderfully made. You are absolutely fabulous in the state that you are right now, brilliant beauty. And so it's often just a few little edits, a few tiny tweaks that are the diminisher between where you are now and your dreams, so we can diminish the distance between your current place and that dream that you're holding in your heart. Scripture tells us that God grants the desires of our heart. Some believe that to mean that God literally placed those desires there and will help you fulfill them. Others interpret that to mean you possess those desires and God is going to help you bring them into this world. I don't care which one of those is true. I'll take both. Thank you very much. I'm a yes and kind of girl. Why bake a cake and not be able to eat it? So with that, I want to share a few thoughts, 3 specifically, that come from my reflection on Galatians 6, 9 through 10 this week. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially to those who belong to the family of believers. When I heard this verse spoken by my pastor this morning at church, I thought, oh my goodness, this is exactly what I saw that made me want to be a part of the family of God. Because I started to notice the family of God was always looking out for each other. The family of God was always having each other's back. And as a single mom, I had felt like the world was on my shoulders, the weight was heavy, and I couldn't figure out how to lighten the load for myself. It was other believers who started to see things that they could do to make a contribution. And those things were the greatest gifts for me of all time. Even yesterday, get this, this isn't in my show notes, but yesterday I had the best day that I've had in Ocala to date. I go to the Porsche dealership. Now, I was just there 2 weeks ago for a service, and I'd started to hear some things in my car. It didn't sound right. And it wasn't like a clanking or anything that was really concerning. So I was kind of debating, should I even say anything? Maybe it's just my ears. Maybe I'm becoming more sensitive. I have had since cancer a heightened sensitivity. Now's not a good time to do that, sweetheart. I apologize. I have this heightened sensitivity energetically. So I thought maybe I'm hearing something that there's nothing wrong. I'm just more sensitive to certain things. Well, it turns out I decided to pray on it. And I was like, just call. Go ahead and ask for help. That's what cancer taught me how to do. So I called the Porsche dealer and I said, would you be willing to take a look at it? It's making this weird sound like whoa, 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 whoa. Like I thought it was the road at first, but it's continuous and it's everywhere I go. So they said, sure, bring it in on Saturday. Well, I show up and get this. They happen to be having a big Porsche Club of America event that 2 weeks ago when I'd been there, this gentleman named Richard encouraged me to join. As a math person, I did the math. Joining it got me a 10% discount on my service, which covered not only the cost of admission, but also put an extra 50 in my pocket. So I joined. I've never been a member of a car club before. I love luxury. I'm not necessarily the hugest car enthusiast, although I have raced on a speedway, and I do enjoy driving fast. So I share in a lot with those individuals. However, I felt like that's a little out of my league. I wasn't born into wealth. I had to build wealth on my own. Every dollar, every penny that I've ever made has come from me. Not a dime of maintenance, not a dime of child support. I've had to do everything on my own. And so I have this ingrained earn it mentality. And that I see Richard there and he says, are you coming with us today? And I said, no, I'm actually here for service. He goes, well, maybe you could ride along with someone. And he partners me with this woman, Mary, who is absolutely spectacular. It was such a blessing to meet her. And then she realizes she's not coming back to the dealership. And this was going to be basically like an hour to an hour and a half long drive where we're all in this Porsche caravan. Then we get out, we have lunch, and we caravan back. So she says, let me see if we can find someone else who's a single driver. Now, most of them are in 911s, 2-seaters, so there's not a lot of space. They find this gentleman who was absolutely the most loving, kind soul. And I'm traveling with him. He asks, do you mind if we keep the top down or would you prefer it up? I said, I'm fine with either. I'm crashing your party. You do you. I'll just be along for the ride, literally. And so we rode with the top down. I wasn't even lathered up in sunscreen. I was like, oh boy, here we go. But look at that. I'm becoming Floridian. I didn't really get red. I got golden. I'm so excited about that. Because if that had been Colorado, I'd be toast if I didn't have a little bit of the base tan that I've acquired being in this blessed place. And so he asks, is it okay if we listen to Led Zeppelin? And I said, absolutely. Well, we end up having just the most amazing, blessed conversation. and so much fun. And we get to the restaurant and I had blackened shrimp, fresh caught fish. It was amazing, sweet potatoes, and I splurged and had some French fries. So I was having one heck of a great day. On our drive home, we even missed our turn twice and ended up down this gorgeous road through this beautiful tropical forest. It was truly heavenly. And so I think about this verse of let us not be weary in doing good, that often when we're in the spirit of doing good, our vibrational energy is different. I know for me, when I'm in the space of struggle and forcing myself to achieve and execute, my energy is different. And I don't attract those kinds of blessings in my days. Yet, when I'm in that spirit of service and in that spirit of doing good, even though it's hard, it is the hardest thing I've ever done to go back to the classroom after 10 years of training leaders across the globe. Smartphones weren't in kids' hands the last time that I was in schools. And can I tell you what a difference technology has made? These children's attention span is not what it used to be. They're on applications for learning. And so there's a lot of shift that's happening in the spirit of this podcast. Shift is happening big time in our classrooms and in our schools. And I think it perfectly positions children because the world and the pace is so fast. They're going to need that level of resilience and that level of agility. They have it naturally. Yet those of us who come from a little bit of a different context, we struggle because we're still trying to prepare them for 2000, 2010, the times when we were thriving, right? And so we have to make shift happen in our schools to be able to help these children see that they are going to be just fine, that they're not alone, that they're in a part of a collaborative team. They're going to be working with amazing people who are doing great things that are good for the soul and good for the world. And that's what I want to be positioning my students and all of students for. So let us not be weary in doing good. I'll be honest, my school days exhaust me. Some of the behavioral challenges are so exhausting that I'd grow weary and tired. Yet I love this verse because it reminds me, don't grow weary in doing good. For the proper time we'll reap harvest if we don't give up. And we think about those fruits of the Spirit and the joy and the happiness. And yesterday during that drive, this individual said to me, I've been seriously thinking, I just want to go back to corporate. I'll quadruple my income again. What was I thinking? And he said, you're doing something that is bigger than you've ever done before. I was like, really? Doesn't feel so big. All day long, I'm going to put your legs on the floor. Please quit saying the B word, the N word, the A word, the S word. I'm redirecting constantly, right? It's almost like warfare. You're constantly like whack-a-mole trying to redirect, while you're also trying to teach because you got about 3 years growth that these kids need to achieve this year to get them remotely close to being on grade level. And so there's just a lot, right? And it does leave me fatigued and so exhausted at the end of the day that I can barely cook dinner. I had one night this week, I fell asleep literally on the sofa. I sat down just to take a deep breath. And I was initially going to do some breath work. And literally a few breaths in, I was asleep. I woke up at 6:27 and I thought, oh my gosh, sweetheart, what do you want me to make for dinner? She's like, I already ate. In that moment, I thought, man, this is the ultimate sacrifice, that I don't even have enough energy at the end of the day to prepare healthy food for my child. So this verse, I think, was so divinely delivered to me. And the second verse says, therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people, especially to those who belong to the family of believers. And I think about the believers that are in my classroom and that there's these little crosses that they hand out at the World Equestrian Center. And I've been sharing those with some of my students whose parents I know are believers and have asked them permission to give that to them to carry in their pockets and sent them home for their parents and grandparents to carry in their pockets. And so I invite you to make shift happen from the problem that's in front of you to the creator of all things, who can do all things, who can strengthen us so that we don't grow weary and we don't give up, and that we do get to live a life characterized by joy and happiness and abundance. So the 3 things that I wrote down to share with you this week is that this verse really shares perseverance in leadership. The importance of perseverance is crucial for high performance leaders. We have to stay focused on our mission and vision and to do good even when we don't get to see the results immediately, or those results may not be visible. Effective leadership often requires the ability to navigate these challenges that we face with resilience and to trust that our efforts will eventually lead to success. That's what Daniel Kahneman calls slow thinking. Fast thinking is that immediate, oh my gosh, I'm so exhausted. Slow thinking is going, this has deliberate purpose. Let me slow down and pace with God. I once learned God is a 3 mile per hour God, not a 110 mile per hour God. As a Porsche lover and someone who loves speed, I like 110 miles per hour, but often in these moments, I have to slow down and practice the whole be still and know that I am God. The second point I want to make today is consistent action. High achievers and leaders are encouraged to seize opportunities to do good. And in leadership, this translates to consistently making the decisions that benefit both the organization and all of the people involved. So in my case right now, that's the school district, my building, and my students and their families. In corporate, it is your immediate team, your department, your organization, and the industry that you're working in, because you have the opportunity to be a leader at the forefront of that. When every single person makes their contribution, raises their vibration, aligns their vision to something extraordinary that that company's doing, you can lift up the whole entire industry. And then the third point is to be of service to others. The call to, as scripture says, quote, do good to all people, highlights the importance of service leadership, where leaders are focused on the well-being of others and they lead by example. It teaches us that leadership is not about self-gain, but is about uplifting others in the community. Those of you who've been with me in trainings before, you know we call this a rising tide raises all ships. And that is your truest sense of leadership. In a high performance context, this translates to creating a culture of collaboration, a culture of support where people know that they have one another to lean on, that we're not alone, and mutual growth. I want to just say, I have, for those of you in my training with me right now, I have live in my personal Facebook also happening that I like to bring them in behind the scenes. And there's a young man who I just love. Hi, Connor. He's an 8th grader. And he says, hello, your speeches are inspirational. Have a great day. Hi, Connor. It's so great to see you, sweetheart. I hope that this message inspires you and blesses you and gives you the encouragement to have a really resilient week ahead. I know schools can be tough places to be. I'm in them all day, every day right now, and living in that space right alongside you, sweetie. It's so good to see you. So again, just to recap, those are the 3 areas that I want you focused on: persistence in your leadership, consistent action, and service to others. So I love looking at the juxtaposition and interplay of scripture in the world's longest lasting text that has been one of the greatest guides of humanity. And as I look at that from the expertise of my scholarly studies in high performance leadership, they are the same. I literally laughed at myself when I realized I spent 20 years studying high performance leadership and then all to find that it's in this one book. I was like, ooh, I could have taken a little simpler path to knowing these things. And I love taking that and then also looking at the celestial wisdom that exists in the world. And so I took some notes to do a little read aloud with you all as you think about your love and your light and this first quarter moon in Cancer that is going to be rising on September 24th. So 2 days from now. So let me read to you. This lunation asks you to check in with your emotional world, guiding you to move forward in ways that feel aligned with your inner truth. Cancer, the guardian of home and family, brings a sense of comfort and emotional reflection to your world. Under its glow, you may find yourself drawn to familiar places or seeking out the people and spaces that make you feel protected and secure. I encourage you to reach out. As someone comes to your mind, one of the things I'm doing right now that helps me calibrate with excellence and align myself with excellence, because that is who we have been created in the image of, is almighty, powerful, brilliant, excellent, extraordinary, is to sit in stillness and cultivate, let those words run through my mind. And inevitably people will come up during that time. And I'll send them a little text that just says, thinking of you, what can I pray for you this week? Or thinking of you and how brilliant and loving and kind you've always been to me. I appreciate that more than you know. And just speaking those high vibrational words and truth into your circles of friends. That's that rising tide, raising all ships. Almost every single time that I do this, I also do a check-in and say, did that resonate with you? And every time 100% of responses are always like, you have no idea how divinely timed this was. So I have a few things that came up that I wanted to share with you. Cancer, the guardian of home and family, brings a sense of comfort and emotional reflection to your world. And then we said, under its glow, you may find yourself drawn to familiar places or seeking out the people and spaces that make you feel protected and secure. So this was some advice and guidance that came up under this reading. You need to make sure that you're dealing with your responsibilities this week. You won't necessarily feel like doing this, and you will want to ignore them and put things off. Hashtag guilty as charged. That's why this resonated with me so much I had to share it. Regardless, these tasks have to be done. So gather the right approach and realize that this is non-negotiable. High performers call this performance necessity. You create that deadline and you keep your promises to yourself. So you state, I'm going to do this, and you get it done on time. Take it slowly and work through things methodically, and you will get things dealt with much more easily. While it might seem annoying initially or not worth the effort, this hard work and focus will pay off in spades. Astrological energies in your house indicate that the next few days represent opportunities for significant growth and development in your professional life or creative endeavors. So know that we can harness the energy and the frequency and vibration of this moon. It says you will also be inspired by a dreamy last quarter moon in Cancer that rises on September 24th, illuminating your emotions and calling on you to check in with your inner world. This lunar phase signals a time of progress, pushing you to take action on the intentions you set during the new moon. So we have to practice stillness, that 3 miles per hour slow pace, paying attention to those breadcrumbs that are being divinely delivered to us, and then taking action on those intentions. With Cancer's nurturing and sensitive energy, this is not just about moving forward. It's about moving forward in alignment with your personal truth and the things that feel safe and supportive to you. It's about being authentic and honest with yourself about the things that matter. I needed to hear that so badly because I was ready to say, it is just time to go back to corporate and make bank. I like money. I like nice things. I like travel. My daughter loves horses. We have a high cost lifestyle. And part of me was like, I'm just going to go back and make lots of money. And then I remembered you were divinely guided to this. What is authentic and true for you? What is authentic and true for me is that I love children. I love developing leaders. I love helping people make strategic career moves that are aligned with the specific skills that industries are needing so that they're building the skills to pay the bills, is what I like to say. Don't leave your development to chance. Leave it to strategy. And if you don't know what that looks like, grab your free gift session and we'll sit down. I'll gift you an hour of my time and coach you through what that looks like. All right, wrapping up. The first quarter moon is all about overcoming challenges and pushing through obstacles. Anybody got a few challenges and obstacles that you need to turn into opportunities? I just have to say yes, yes, and yes. If you felt any tension or resistance in pursuing your goals, this is the time to face those hurdles head on. But unlike other signs, Cancer doesn't demand a forceful push. This is key. For a lot of you high performers, we push. We fight for it, right? The language of our world even encourages that fight. I've had a hard time. I love the warrior spirit, but I'm like, I also want to be gentle and nurturing and in peaceful flow with the divine. And so the Cancer moon invites us to flow with the waves of our feelings, trusting that by honoring your emotional state, you will find the strength to move forward. Listen to what your intuition is telling you about where you're being called to invest your time and energy. For those of you who are women, we put a lot of things on our to-do list that nobody asked us to put on there, and we can let some of those things go. So I want you to think strategically this week about your priorities, about all of the things on that list, and look at which are the best investment of your time and energy. Cancer is the guardian of home, family, and the deeper emotions we often keep tucked away. As the moon glows in this sign, you might feel drawn to seek comfort in the familiar, whether that's through spending time with loved ones, reflecting on your emotional needs, or creating a sanctuary within your physical space. This phase encourages you to take stock of your emotional landscape and nurture yourself in ways that allow you to continue your journey with resilience and compassion. I want you to write down in the chat, type in, what are some of the things you can do to nurture yourself that allow you to continue your journey with resilience and compassion. For me, it's sound bathing. That is the greatest gift Cancer brought to me, was learning about frequencies and vibrational energies, because I can now make things happen in my energetic sphere. Those of you in High Performance Leadership Academy, you know how we do that and how we play with energy and allow for the divine to be working in our favor, not just making things happen for us, but also because of us and because of the vibrational space that we create. And then it says, as a cardinal water sign, Cancer brings initiation energy to our emotional sphere. If there's something in your life you've been hesitating to address, whether it's a difficult conversation, a much needed change in your routine, a boundary that needs to be set, this moon phase will help guide you through it with grace. All you have to do is ask for the divine. I like to say, dear God, angels, guardians of the galaxies, higher councils, please direct the steps that I am needed to take this week. Your emotions may run high, but remember that growth often involves stepping out of your comfort zone. Trust that any discomfort is temporary and part of the process. Let me repeat that, and I want you to write it in your journals. I trust that discomfort is temporary and a part of the process of my journey towards growth. Opposing this lunar energy is the sun in Libra, which reminds you of the importance of balance. So Cancer is going to be pulling you inward, and Libra is pushing you to maintain harmony in your relationships. This cosmic interplay urges you to check in with the dynamics in your life. Are you giving too much without receiving? Are you allowing others to dictate the flow of your life? This is an ideal time to recalibrate your relationships and ensure they're aligned with your needs. This is a powerful time to commit to focusing on your own wishes, your own desires, and your own dreams. So I want you to just sit in stillness for a moment and think about, what are the desires of your heart? For me, being the parent of a freshman, I see how scary that transition is, and the fear that is in these students as they look at, oh my gosh, adulthood's right around the corner and I don't know what I'm going to do. And it is on my heart to help serve them, to give them the leadership skills. This wasn't in my notes, but I've been teaching children this. The average income of all occupations as of May of 2023 is $65,000 and some change, 470, I think it is. And the average income of leaders is $137,000. So might it behoove us to teach our children leadership skills, to teach them the practices of self-awareness, of discipline, determination, vision casting, mission, vision, operating principles. Those are all leadership skills. And when we can set a mission for our lives and a vision that we want to achieve with our lifestyle, and then we look at the habits that are going to help us operate and live a life that is characterized by joy, health, and happiness, the world's highest performers, according to the research, are happier, healthier, and less stressed than their peers. Can I get a hallelujah for that? When I was on my journey to high performance, that wasn't it. I was a peak performer, scaling the peak, plummeting to the valley below to recover so that I could scale the next peak. I'm in a season of that right now. I scale the peak each day, plummet to my sofa, scale the next day, plummet to my sofa, and I've got to recalibrate. I'm looking at some edits strategically, one of which will be a sugar fast that I'm going to be launching starting in October to bring us through Halloween so that we can practice our resiliency, practice our empowerment, practice obtaining a new perspective and way of seeing. The world brings us many, many opportunities for rehearsal. So with that, I want you to think about the flow of your life. This is an ideal time to align your relationships and your goals with your needs. It's a powerful time to commit to focusing on the desires of your heart, to set that long-term plan and then practice the number one skill that all employers are looking for in 2024, which is agility. So we have more stability and security that comes from having that long-term plan and vision within your own heart, body, and mind and spirit, and to practice agility and trust that this or something better is going to be what is in your future. With that, my friends, thank you for sharing your Sunday Fun Day with me. I look forward to seeing you in your Extraordinary Life Edit sessions and in High Performance Leadership Academy or the 40-day sugar fast. Just reach out to me and let me know what would be of greatest interest to you. Go out and shine your love and light into the world. Mwah.